Hi everyone, my name is Aishwarya Singh and welcome back to Eshucation. This is session number 2 of Prelims 2024 marathon series of the subject of polity. पहला session already upload कर दिया है जिसमें historical underpinnings and making of the constitution का topic complete हो चुका है. As you understand कि union and state government के topics are really like lengthy. I have divided the entire section into 3 different parts. आज हम प्रेसिडेंट और गवर्नर को डिस्कस करेंगे. अपकमिंग वीडियो में प्राइम मिनिस्टर, चीफ मिनिस्टर, अटॉर्नी जनरल ऑफ इंडिया एंड एडवोकेट जनरल ऑफ स्टेट के टॉपिक्स को डिस्कस करेंगे एंड एक सेपरेट वीडियो आएगा वाइस प्रेसिडेंट पे सो दैट यू डू नॉट लूज अ सिंगल मार्क अगर इन टॉपिक्स में से कोई भी सवाल अपकमिंग प्रीलिम्स में पूछा जाता है तो. So now let's look at in which articles of the constitution the following topics are mentioned. The first one is Union Executive. From Article 52 to 78, all about Union Executive is covered in our Constitution. और President का topic के लिए Article 52 से 62 तक आपको पढ़ना होगा, रेफर करना होगा. Similarly, for State Executive, you'll see from Article 153 to 167 covering all the aspects of State Executive and Governor से related जो articles है वो 153 से 161 में लिखे गए हमारे संविधान में. Prime Minister and Council of Minister, Article 74, 75 and 78. Chief Minister and COM, Articles 163 to 167. Article 76 talks about Attorney General of India and Articles 165 and 177 talks about Advocate General of State. Now, who is the President of India? So, President of India is the head of state. He is the first citizen of India. Now, I'll use she because हमारी जो करंट प्रेसिडेंट है वो है द्रौपदी मुर्मू जी. सो शी इज़ द फर्स्ट सिटीजन ऑफ इंडिया एंड शी इज़ अ सिंबल ऑफ सॉलिडारिटी, यूनिटी एंड इंटेग्रिटी ऑफ द नेशन. शी इज़ अ पार्ट ऑफ यूनियन एग्जीक्यूटिव along with the vice president, prime minister, council of minister and attorney general of India. Who is the governor? The governor is a nominal executive head of state and he forms an important part of state executive. He acts as an executive head of state. Central government nominates governor for ईच स्टेट. तो ऐसे साथ में पढ़ते पढ़ते कितना जल्दी रिवाइज हो सकता है ये सेशन के अंत तक आप समझ जाएंगे. सो स्टे विद मी, कीप वॉचिंग द वीडियो एंड स्टार्ट नोटिंग डाउन. हाउ इज द प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडिया इलेक्टेड? सो द प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडिया इज इलेक्टेड बाय एन इलेक्टोरल कॉलेज. इसमें कौन कौन होते हैं? तो इलेक्टेड मेंबर्स ऑफ बोथ द हाउसेज ऑफ द पार्लियामेंट, इलेक्टेड मेंबर्स ऑफ द लेजिस्लेटिव असेंबलीज ऑफ स्टेट and union territories of Delhi and Puducherry. Who doesn't vote or take part in the procedure of voting for the president or is not a part of electoral college? So those are nominated members of both the houses of the parliament, state legislative assembly, state legislative councils and legislative assemblies of Delhi and Puducherry. So nominated members will not be a part of the electoral college meant for the election of the president. Further, members of the Electoral College vote for the President in a system of proportional representation by the means of single transferable vote, where each member has a single vote that can be transferred to other candidates in a sequence of preferences. जिसको ज़्यादा वोट मिलेगा उन्हें प्रेसिडेंट चुना जाएगा. Now let's quickly understand the process of election. So प्रेसिडेंट को इलेक्ट करने के लिए सबसे पहले द इलेक्शन कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया विल अनाउंस अ डेट ऑफ इलेक्शन. ठीक है. एंड जो नॉमिनेटेड मेंबर्स हैं जिनको नॉमिनेट किया गया है टू स्टैंड फॉर द इलेक्शन उनको इनवाइट किया जाता है. अब एलिजिबिलिटी क्या है टू बिकम अ प्रेसिडेंट? सो 3 सिंपल क्राइटेरिया है. पहला हैज़ टू बी अ सिटीजन ऑफ इंडिया, minimum 35 years of age and eligible to become a member of Lok Sabha. Whereas governor बनने के लिए qualification में सिर्फ 2 criteria है. पहला है has to be a citizen of India and number 2 minimum age again 35 years. Further, the person should not hold any office of profit under the union or state government or local or other public authority. And after the counting, whosoever gets majority of the votes becomes the president after taking an oath. Now I will teach you एक फॉर्मूला है जिससे you will figure out कि आखिर ये जो single transferable vote है या proportional representation उसका मतलब क्या है. So let's look at the formula of value of vote of an MLA. So total population of the state is divided by total number of elected members in the state legislative assembly या total number of MLAs in a state legislative assembly multiplied by 1/1000. सबसे पहले ये निकाला जाएगा. Further, value of vote of an MP. उसमें क्या होगा, इट इज इक्वल्स टू टोटल वैल्यू ऑफ वोट्स ऑफ ऑल द एमएलएज ऑफ ऑल द स्टेट्स डिवाइडेड बाय टोटल नंबर ऑफ इलेक्टेड मेंबर्स ऑफ पार्लियामेंट. सो ऐसे वैल्यू ऑफ वोट को निकाला जाता है एंड इसके बाद जिन्हें मेजॉरिटी मिलती है उन्हें प्रेसिडेंट बनाया जाता है. Now let's understand governor का appointment कैसे होता है. So the central government is responsible to nominate the governor for each state and the president will appoint the governor formally. Now there is no election for the governor but there is a selection process. ठीक है, office of the governor is not a part of union executive but it is an independent constitutional office and ये जो nomination का and appointment का process है, it has been borrowed from the Canadian model of government. So remember all these important points, okay? Now let's quickly look at the oath for the office of president or governor. It is exactly the same. So the president or the governor will swear to faithfully execute the office, to preserve, protect and defend the constitution and the law, and to devote himself or herself to the service and well-being of the people of India. Now, for the president, the Chief Justice of India will administer his or her oath, whereas for the governor, the Chief Justice of the High Court of the state or a senior most judge of the High Court of the state will administer the oath. Certain conditions for the office of president and governor. So I have covered it like so quickly here because you'll see there are so many similarities. So conditions of the office of president क्या है? सबसे पहले she should not be a member of either house of the parliament or state legislature. Similar conditions of office are also mentioned for the governor of a state, and even the governor cannot be a member of any house of the parliament or a state legislature. Now the president is deemed to vacant his or her seat before entering the position. Same goes for the governor. Before, like let's say before they are taking up their new office or position of a president or a governor, अगर वो किसी parliament के किसी house में या state legislature में, if they had a seat, they'll have to resign from there. Further, both of them should not hold any office of profit. Both of them are given rent-free accommodations. For president, we all famously know हमारे जो president है वो राष्ट्रपति भवन में रहते हैं, whereas governor of every state will stay in a Raj Bhavan. That is again a rent-free accommodation. The president का जो emoluments है, allowances है, privileges है, are decided by the parliament and they cannot be diminished once given. Same thing goes for the governor. Parliament decides the emoluments, allowances and privileges for the governor and they cannot be diminished during the tenure that the governor is serving. Let's understand the tenure and removal of the president and the governor. So the president will serve for 5 years and she can hand over resignation to the vice president of India anytime she feels like, and she can also be impeached on the basis that she violated the constitution. अब violation of constitution क्या है, उसको संविधान में define नहीं किया गया है. Also एक ही इंसान लेट्स से मुर्मुरू जी कितनी बार प्रेसिडेंट बन सकती हैं उस पर भी कोई टैप नहीं लगाया गया है इन द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. शी कैन कंटिन्यू एंड विल कंटिन्यू टू बी द प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडिया अंटिल अ न्यू सक्सेसर इज इलेक्टेड. जबकि यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स में क्या है कि एक ही जो इंसान है वो 2 बार से ज़्यादा प्रेसिडेंट नहीं बन सकते या नहीं अपॉइंट किए जा सकते. फर्दर व्हाट इज़ द टर्म और रिमूवल प्रोसेस फॉर अ गवर्नर? will hold the office under the pleasure of the president. President उनको कभी भी हटा सकते हैं, can be removed. Removal का process again संविधान में mention नहीं किया गया है. गवर्नर को ट्रांसफर भी किया जा सकता है, so the president can transfer the governor and the governor can also be reappointed by the president. Now let's talk about the impeachment procedure of the president. जैसे I was earlier mentioning, it's a very elaborate process. Note this thing down before we proceed to understand how it works. कि this initiation of impeachment charge can be done by the Lok Sabha or the Rajya Sabha. यानी it can be initiated by any house of the parliament. यहाँ पे मैंने ये दिखाया कि भाई लोक सभा is initiating this charge, for which the impeachment charge is to be signed by 1/4 of the members of the Lok Sabha. 14 day का notice president को दे दिया जाता है. Further, ये जो impeachment charges है 2/3 majority से पास करके राज्यसभा में भेजे जाते हैं, जहाँ राज्यसभा will investigate the charges कि सही उन पे इल्ज़ाम लगाए जा रहे हैं या नहीं लगाए जा रहे हैं. ठीक है. फर्दर प्रेसिडेंट को भी राइट दिया जाता है कि वो प्रोसीडिंग में बैठे इन द राज्यसभा. द प्रेसिडेंट कैन डिफेंड हिमसेल्फ और हरसेल्फ एंड वंस दिस चार्जेस आर प्रूवन द राज्यसभा विल अग्री एंड पास दिस इम्पीचमेंट चार्ज विद 2/3 मेजॉरिटी एंड द प्रेसिडेंट स्टैंड्स रिमूव्ड. ठीक है. अब अगर प्रेसिडेंट का जो पोजीशन है वो वेकेंट है तो क्या होगा? कुछ भी हो सकता है, द प्रेसिडेंट रिजाइन और द प्रेसिडेंट अनफॉर्चुनेटली पास्ड अवे या इम्पीचमेंट हो गया. सो फॉर द टेम्पररी बेसिस जब तक री इलेक्शन नहीं होते, द वाइस प्रेसिडेंट विल टेक द चार्जेस of the president. If vice president is also not there, like the vice president also resigned or is not, the seat is vacant, then the Chief Justice of India will serve as the president temporarily. If the Chief Justice of India resigns or is not there or the seat is vacant, then the senior most judge of the Supreme Court will discharge the functions of the president till the new president is elected. Remember this, okay? Let's understand powers of the president and the governor. Governor ka removal to that the president can remove the governor. So firstly, we'll start with executive powers of the president and governor, and you'll see how many points are similar. Just difference kya hota hai, smartly agar revise karna ho, whenever you are writing or thinking about the governor, you think about the state. The word state has to come. High court has to come. ठीक है, स्टेट लेजिस्लेचर हैज़ टू कम. बस टर्म इंटरचेंज होंगे. वेयरएज़ फॉर द प्रेसिडेंट इट इज़ द यूनियन गवर्नमेंट, इट इज़ द पार्लियामेंट, तो ऐसे टर्म्स आपको सिर्फ इंटरचेंज करने होते हैं. सो एग्जीक्यूटिव पावर में सबसे पहला है फॉर द प्रेसिडेंट दैट एवरी एग्जीक्यूटिव एक्शन ऑफ द यूनियन गवर्नमेंट विल बी टेकन इन हर नेम, वेयरएज़ every executive action in the state government will be taken in the name of the governor. Further, the president may or may not make rules to simplify the transaction of business of the central government. And on the governor's side, क्या लिखना होगा that the governor may or may not make rules to simplify the transaction of business of the state government. The president will appoint the Attorney General of India, whereas the governor will appoint the Advocate General of State. The president will appoint the following, जैसे Comptroller and Auditor General of India, Chief Election Commissioner and other election commissioners, Chairman and members of UPSC, State Governors, Finance Commission का Chairman and members, etc. Whereas the governor will appoint the chief minister and other ministers formally so, और भी कुछ लोगों को appoint करते हैं. Let's look at that. So the governor will also appoint whom? The state election commissioner, chairman and members of SPSC, vice chancellor of universities. ये important जो positions है उसका appointment governor करते हैं. President she might seek information, administrative information from the union government. Similarly, the governor might seek information from the state government. Now, the president requires the prime minister to be a mediator. अगर council of minister ने कोई decision लिया है, तो prime minister will communicate that decision to the president. Two important extra TMIs about the governor would be that let's say a constitutional emergency in the state can be, announced by the governor on the basis of the recommendation of the president. And the governor will enjoy extensive executive powers as an agent of the president during the president's rule in the state. Some other executive powers of the president and the governor, जैसे the president will appoint the national commissions of SC, ST, OBC. She will appoint the interstate council in case there is a conflict. She'll appoint the administrators of the union territories, and she can also declare any area to be a scheduled area, and every power in respect to the administration of that area will be with the president. Governors of the state of Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh and Odisha will be appointing tribal welfare ministers in their respective states. Let's look at the legislative powers of the president and the governor. So firstly, the president will summon or prorogue the parliament and can dissolve the Lok Sabha. Very similar to this, the governor can prorogue the state legislature and dissolve the state legislative assembly. The president will summon the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. There will be a joint sitting in case of a deadlock. The president will address the Indian parliament. So एक election हुआ, and then the new prime minister and the new, council of minister, the cabinet is elected. After that, when all the MPs come to the parliament, the president will be addressing them. ठीक है. Similarly, जब स्टेट में इलेक्शन होता है, चीफ मिनिस्टर का चुनाव होता है, नई सरकार बनती है, then the governor will address the first session of the state legislative assembly. Now, the president will appoint the speaker, deputy speaker in the Lok Sabha and the chairman and or the deputy chairman of the Rajya Sabha. In governor's legislative power also, the governor is given the power to appoint a person to preside over the session as a deputy speaker of the state legislative assembly. I have added on the similarities here, and there is one more important point in the legislative power of the president, that she will consult the Election Commission of India when there is a question of disqualification of a member of parliament. Some more legislative powers of the president and the governor. So the president will recommend or permit introduction of certain types of bills in the parliament. She can promulgate ordinances. I've discussed a bit in the further part of the video. She also lays down the following reports in front of the parliament, let's say report of the CAG, UPSC, Finance Commission, etc. The president also has a power to nominate 12 members in the Rajya Sabha on the basis of their qualifications. Let's say these members are qualified in literature, science, art, cooperative movement, social service, etc. Similarly, the governor also has a power to nominate 1/6 member of the House of Legislative Council with people who possess talent in the above mentioned streams. Now, there is a very, very important information for you. I'll highlight it for you. Talking about this important change that has been made by 104th amendment in the Indian Constitution. Initially, the president was reserving 2 seats for Anglo-Indian members in the Lok Sabha, whereas the governor could reserve 1 seat for Anglo-Indian members in the State Legislative Assembly. Now, Anglo-Indian term hata diya gaya, and this reservation is extended to SC and ST members up to 10 years. So please remember this new important change, okay? Let's quickly look at the financial powers of the president and the governor. So to introduce money bill in the parliament, the prior permission of the president is required. Similarly, if the money bill has to be introduced in the state legislature, prior permission of the governor is required. Now, talking about union budget, the president causes the union budget to be laid before the parliament, whereas state budget can be laid before the state legislative assembly when the governor is overlooking the entire process. Further, to make demand for grants from the Consolidated Fund of India, the prior permission of the president is required. Whereas, to make demand for grants from the Consolidated Fund of State, prior permission of the governor is required. Contingency Fund of India is under the president, whereas Contingency Fund of State is under the governor. The president will constitute Finance Commission every 5 years, whereas the governor will constitute State Finance Commission every 5 years. Let's continue and look at the judicial powers of the president and the governor. और ये बहुत ज़्यादा crucial है since I'll be talking about the pardoning powers of the president and the governor. Let's look at that quickly. So firstly, the president will appoint the Chief Justice of India, the Supreme Court, High Court judges. He or she will take advices from the Supreme Court. However, that advice is not binding on the president. She has the pardoning powers under Article 72, which I'm going to discuss in the further part of the video in detail. Whereas judicial powers of the governor में देखेंगे कि even the governor has the pardoning powers like pardon, reprieve, respite, remit, commute, etc. And the governor is consulted by the president for the appointment of the High Court judges, and in the consultation with the State High Court, the governor will make appointments, postings and promotions of the district judges, and in consultation with the State High Court and the State Public Service Commission, the governor will appoint people, officials to judicial services. Remember these appointments wala point, this is very, very crucial. Quickly understand the pardoning powers of the president and the governor. Firstly, I'll tell you that the governor does not have the power to pardon a death sentence. That is only with the president. Okay? Now, pardon means what? That the conviction and the sentence is completely absolved. Whereas commutation ka matlab kya hota hai? The nature of the punishment is changed. Now, remission means what? Reduction in the term of imprisonment. Respite is what? Awarding lesser punishment than the original punishment because of any special condition of a convict. Reprieve ka matlab hai stay order on the execution of the awarded sentence for a temporary period. Some additional powers of the president. We'll quickly look at them. So firstly, diplomatic powers of the president. So any international treaty or agreement has to be approved by the president and is concluded in her name. She is a representative of India in international forums and affairs. Now, there is a military power of the president. She is the commander of the defense forces and she appoints the chief of army, navy and the air force. And finally, emergency power of the president. She deals with 3 types of emergencies as mentioned in the constitution. Firstly, Article 352, that is national emergency. Article 356 and 365, president's rule, and Article 360, financial emergency. So she has the power to declare any of them. Now let's talk about the veto power of the president and the governor. अभी मैं सिर्फ एक generalized form में समझाती हूँ कि veto power होता क्या है. So for a bill to become an act, the president needs to give his or her assent to that bill. ठीक है, उस पर sign करना है उनको. But if just in case the president decides not to do it, so what she can do is either reject the bill because she found some errors or did not like it. Either she will return the bill or she will withhold her decision. She will not sign on the bill. She will not say yes or no. ठीक है? इस power को बोलते हैं veto power, which is mentioned in Article 111 of the Constitution. Now, there are three veto powers given to our President by the Constitution. Let's discuss them in detail. So, the first veto is called absolute veto power of the President. Now, if the President exercises this veto, the bill is never ever going to become an act. But when can she use this veto power? Only in two conditions as prescribed in the Constitution. Number one, if it is a private member bill, and number two, if the present cabinet resigns and the new cabinet asks the president not to give assent to the bill that was passed by an older cabinet. Okay? Note this very important point. In India, a president has exercised, in fact, two presidents have exercised this absolute veto. One was in 1954 by Dr. Rajendra Prasad ji, and one was in 1991, and this was by R. Venkatraman ji. Now, the second veto power or another veto power is called suspensive veto power. जिसका मतलब है the president is returning the bill for reconsideration. She did not like something about it and she has resent the bill for reconsideration. Well, there is one important thing that you should know here. If the parliament decides either to incorporate those changes or not do that, यानी as it is bill को दोबारा भेज दिया president को without making any changes that she probably prescribed, the president will have to sign that bill and give her assent to that bill. Make sure you remember this point. But with respect to the state bills, the state legislature has no power to override the suspensive veto of the president. So what does the governor do? That he will withhold the bill for reconsideration by the president. Okay? And now if the president is using his or her suspensive veto, तो इसका मतलब है वो रिटर्न कर देंगे उस बिल को फॉर मेकिंग सम चेंजेस बाय द स्टेट लेजिस्लेचर. नाउ इफ द स्टेट लेजिस्लेचर डज नॉट मेक एनी चेंज, ठीक है, मान लो नहीं किया उन्होंने कोई चेंज एंड दोबारा भेज दिया फॉर द असेंट टू द बिल, द प्रेसिडेंट स्टिल हैज़ द पावर टू विथहोल्ड हिज और हर असेंट. मतलब क्या, जैसे पार्लियामेंट अगर रीसेंड कर दे बिल को एज इट इज़ प्रेसिडेंट को साइन करना ही पड़ता है, यहाँ पे वो कंपल्शन नहीं है. नाउ टू वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट्स. इफ द पार्लियामेंट इज रीसेंडिंग द बिल, ठीक है, टू द प्रेसिडेंट, दे विल ओनली नीड ordinary majority for the repassage of the bill. And secondly, the president cannot exercise her suspensive veto when it comes to money bill. So remember these two very important points. And now the third and the last veto power with the president is that of pocket veto. इसका मतलब क्या है? The president can withhold her assent for indefinite period. जब तक वो चाहे वो इस पे assent दे ना दे उनकी मर्जी है, ठीक है. So here she is not neither rejecting the bill nor returning the bill. That is how it is, ठीक है. एंड कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ने कोई टाइम लिमिट नहीं दिया है प्रेसिडेंट को. जैसे अमेरिकन प्रेसिडेंट को टाइम लिमिट दिया जाता है अगर वो वीटो पावर, पॉकेट वीटो का यूज़ करते हैं तो उनको 10 दिन के अंदर कोई जवाब देना पड़ता है, हाँ या ना. वेरएज हमारे संविधान में ऐसा कोई टाइम लाइन या एक टाइम लिमिट नहीं दिया गया है प्रेसिडेंट को. नाउ नोट दिस वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट. Pocket veto has been used by a president in the past. It was in 1986 by President Zail Singh ji. And the president has one more important point. The president has no veto power when it comes to constitutional amendment bill. This is very crucial. So note this point down. That is it for session 2. I hope you enjoyed the session. I hope you got to learn a lot and revise faster. I'm leaving you with some PYQs. You can attempt them, comment down your answer below or put it down in your notes. And I'll see you in the next session. It is a very important one. I'm going to talk about Prime Minister, Chief Minister, Attorney General of India and the Advocate General of State. And yes, there are some miscellaneous videos also coming up. So अगर आपने पहला session नहीं देखा, you should go and watch it so that you can understand the flow of the marathon. Yeah. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next one.